Hi, everybody. How are we doing today? It's Wednesday, halfway through the week. Did y'all have a good 3-day weekend?
Yes,
Was it nice having that extra day?
yes. My mom was like, Juliana, you just got back to school and now you already have an extra day off. I was like, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but did you take the day off or did you just work on stuff?
No, I worked on stuff.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else get to do anything fun on Monday? Even if you didn't have work to do, how much fun can you really have now that we're in the quarantine thing? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you can do a whole lot
I
without
just started
breaking
to
rules.
remember all my songs again. Like I'm doing this like I have an app to like rank all my songs and I'm doing a tournament, like battle of songs.
Oh, really? To figure out what's the ultimate
Yeah, because I
favorite
did it like
song?
yeah, I did it a while ago, but then I've downloaded like new songs since that, so I have to do it all over again.
What's the app called?
Let's see. It's called Tournament. Tournament? Like
Tournament?
yeah, it's hard to see on there, but like there's all the brackets.
Cool.
So I've been doing.
That sounds like fun. It's a good way to like de-stress your brain and do something totally different than your schoolwork and stuff, right? Well, we had staff development. No comment. I was really hoping that they would say, hey, we know how hard you're working with virtual learning. Why don't y'all just take Labor Day off? But they didn't say that. So we were in Zoom meetings all day on Monday. But we did get some good information. Like they were talking a little bit about what the hybrid schedule would be like. Do you want me to talk about that a little bit? A little bit? Yeah, so while we're waiting for a few more people to join, they were talking about how they're gonna keep the same schedule. And so this could happen at the end of this month, or they could file for the extension of 4 more weeks, and it could happen at the end of October if we stay virtual for a whole another, month. Some districts are already doing that. McAllen and Mission have already said that they're going to file the extension until the end of October. So I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway, so they were saying that you'll have the option to continue with virtual the way that it's been going, or you can elect hybrid, which would mean you'd go to school like 2 days out of the week and actually meet in the classroom with your teachers during the scheduled time. They said they're going to keep the same schedule. So I guess that would be an earlier day for most people. But the people who are on virtual 100% would just continue the way that they are. And then the people that go to classes would obviously be able to interact with the teacher and get like help during that time and so on. So that's what they were talking about on Monday. We don't know what way the district's going to go yet, so it's a mystery. But there's going to be a survey coming out, I think, next week. Make sure that you watch your email and your parents too. They did a survey in July. Did y'all know about that survey that they did? They did a survey in July, and what they were really asking was how many people want to go back, how many people want to do hybrid, and how many people want to do like complete 100% virtual. And at that survey, they're saying that they got a 30% response for hybrid. So I don't think that they're expecting that a whole bunch of people are going to go back even when they open the building up to the hybrid schedule, but we'll see. They're going to send that out again. Maybe it's a little different now that we've started and people see what virtual is like. I don't know. So yeah, keep an eye out for that survey so that you can, it's almost like voting, right? Have your voice known. use your right to voice your opinion. Are there any questions about any of those decisions and stuff? I feel like sometimes the adults are so busy talking about it that they never say anything to you about it. But if there's something that's, that you're wondering about this new process, feel free to ask me. You can email me or you can unmute yourself and ask me. If I know, I'll tell you. And if not, I'll try to find out. But in my mind, I tend to think that they're going to feel the pressure if other school districts are going another month, that they're going to feel the pressure to do that. I think they want to open, but I don't know. I don't know. I was right when I said, I think in my mind, right before we went on spring break. Y'all remember that? I said, I got a feeling. I got a feeling. Let's make sure you have everything you need. I didn't think it was going to be the rest of the school year. Or now. All right. Well, if something comes up and you have questions or you know, I'm more than willing to give you whatever information I have. I feel like some stuff comes out on the school and the district Twitter. I try to retweet that. So you can follow me on my Twitter if you want. I'm not going to follow you back. That sounded ugly. What I meant was, you know, it's kind of creepy to have your teacher following you on there. So I'm not going to do that, but all right, today we're going to be in the Google Classroom, so you can switch on over to that thing. I made some changes to the way that I organized it because I feel like everything's kind of all over the place and probably every teacher's doing something different and giving you a different thing and you're switching a lot through different items, but maybe you have a certain number of teachers that are using Google Classroom or Blackboard, but Blackboard, you can't really help it when you're teaching dual, they make you use that. So what I decided to do is I was thinking maybe what you do is, you can tell me if this is true, maybe you sign in to work for the day and you look, oh, okay, I've got, for priorities, I better do these things that are due tomorrow or today, right? Like, do you go through and kind of like prioritize what you have to do from the Google Classroom, or do you just keep your own planner? What do y'all tend to do? You pointing at somebody?
I kind of like prioritize. Like I'm like, okay, this is due tomorrow, so let me do that. Or if I have extra free time, I'll do like work that's due, let's say, earlier than the rest. Like I try
Right.
to keep that schedule.
Yeah, and do you use Google Classroom to kind of see most of it? Okay, so I'm gonna start putting them up here so that it shows up. So sometimes they'll just be reminders. It's not anything that you have to turn in on Google Classroom. You can just go and click done, right? Just like a to-do list so that you can get that off of your list to do. So I'm gonna do that too, because I know how it is when you have, you know, different people throwing different ways of doing things at you, and no, don't look on Google Classroom, look on this document I sent you in your email. And you know, like, it's just kind of like, I feel like maybe most people are using this platform, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there. Another thing that I did for organization, if you go into our class, I'm going to pin this post right here on the stream. You can't really pin, but I'm just going to keep moving it to the top. Keep moving it to the top every time. They don't have a pin feature. We should suggest that to Google. But what I did was I put in this one entry, I put 4 important things that you're going to be accessing like all the time. One is our Zoom meeting link. Obviously, at least once a week, that's going to be happening. The link to Formative, because you're going to be using that pretty much every A day. Also, this is the playlist that I made of all of our class meetings. So if you miss a class meeting, or if you need to hear me go through instructions again, you can go to that playlist. I made it unlisted, so it's just for us. But every class, I'll put the video of the class up there. So like today, I'm gonna start talking about our first research project. And if when you're working on it, you think, oh, it would probably be good if I watch that part again from the video, then you can access them all. So I'm just making a playlist there of all of our classes. And then here is the weekly planner. So I'm gonna try to keep that at the top of the stream so that those are like the most used links and things for you to help you organize. So let's look at our weekly planner for week 2. Whoop, whoop, week 2. I'm trying my best. I'm really like sheep number 5, but I feel like if I came on camera and was sheep number 5, y'all would be bored in the first 2 minutes, so I'm trying. Okay, so just like last week, I set this up where these are the things we're going to go through today. There are some links over here. So there's another Formative link. I'm just kind of putting that everywhere so that it's easy for you to find. And then here's also the link to that video archive of our classes. Down here's the stuff for this week. I'll get to that. And then at the very bottom will be when we're meeting next. So you can put it in your planner and make sure that that's good to go. By the way, did you know that you can put all of your Zoom meetings in your Google Calendar? So all you have to do is click on them and then the meeting will open. Yeah. So you can see on my calendar right here that I have all of my class meetings are right here. So when it comes to time to do it, I just click right here. There's an interface between Zoom and Google Calendar where you can just import all of them so that you know exactly what time it's set up for and so on. So you already have a Google Calendar for this class, so you might think
I
about.
did not know this.
I know,
This would have
right?
come so much in handy.
I know. Well, at least I'm not telling you in week 11. Yeah, the other thing it will do is it will import from your classroom, your Google Classroom too. Let me show you. So when you are in classwork, you can also click on Google Calendar right here, and it should populate your assignments from that class into your Google Calendar. So that when I like the view in calendar. Some people like the weekly view or the daily view. I like the schedule view. You can toggle that over here. Like if you just wanted to see how your day is playing out like that. Or you can do the monthly view. But that, to me, that gets a little cramped. I really like the schedule view because there's like a red line that tells me where I am in the day and then all my upcoming things. So when I log in the day, I just go and look at the calendar. Everything I have to turn in is listed there and all my Zoom meetings are listed there. And I don't know, I'm not telling you that you have to use that. I'm just saying you already have to use Google Calendar, at least for my class. So it could be something to look into if you think it would be handy. Anyway, where was I? We're here, right? So I already talked about Google Classroom organization. Let's talk about the things that you should have already done before today. Number one, you should have emailed me the public link to your Google Calendar that you set up just for this class. It is not a requirement for you to keep your entire life on Google Classroom, even though I just made a pitch for it. You don't have to do that. You only have to keep the things for this class. A lot of this class is independent work. Why? Because it's called independent study. So I need to see like where you are in your plans. We'll be conferencing and things like that. So having that calendar available to me lets me go in and see, okay, you know, how's this student doing? Where are they on their planning? Where are they on their project? And I can just look at it at a glance. So I gave an easy grade if you gave me your link to your calendar, if you set it up according to the directions that I sent you. I think it was pretty simple to do it if you followed through on those. Then you already have 100 in the grade book for doing that on time. If you forgot or didn't do it, you can still do it. You need to email me that public link, but obviously I'm gonna have to give you like a 90 or like an 89. I'm gonna be super mean to everybody on the second week of school. But get those into me because I do grade those. I do a random check on the calendars once per 6 weeks to see if you're keeping up with what I'm expecting you to put in the calendar, which isn't a lot. So make sure that you create your calendar and email me the public link. And there's a little video to explain where you can find the public link. You can tell if I received your calendar by going to the gradebook, because if you didn't send it, you have a 0 right now. So I would fix that up. If you didn't do it, then you have your 100. Another thing I asked you to do for today was to look over the syllabus. So I made a little video where I walked you through the syllabus. Hopefully you had a chance to read through it and kind of watch that little tour. But I wanted to make an opportunity in class today to see if you had any questions about the syllabus. This is a really different sort of class. I run it very differently than other classes that you might have had with me. I know a lot of you were in my dual class last year, so it's not really the same animal. So if there's questions about how it works that come up from the syllabus, I'm glad to go over them with you. Just in case anybody's unmuting, I'll wait a second. So mainly the focus is on two things: getting ready for college stuff and research, keeping our skills sharp for writing and reading and doing research and that kind of thing. There's a lot of opportunity in this class for your own choices of your projects. I feel like that's something that you probably haven't had a lot of. So this year, a lot of times you'll be doing proposals for me because you're proposing some research that interests you, that you want to follow up on. The first research topic is going to be on education reform. I'm going to let you choose what aspect of education reform you want to work with. But after we finish that project, I'm pretty much going to set you to choose your own topic for research. So, probably the second one will be something like choose some aspect of your future that you want to research. And you'll do a project based on that, because I feel like that's more important to you and helping you with your future goals kind of thing. So it's a different kind of class. You'll also make your determination about when your due date is. You will determine what your project is. I'm not going to tell you it has to be a paper. Maybe you want to make a video. Maybe you want to do a lesson for little kids. Maybe you want to do a vlog. Maybe like whatever seems to go with your topic. There are lots of options. Maybe you saw yesterday I was adding them all to the Google Classroom just to give you ideas on there. But the class is designed in a very different way. We're not getting through material as much as we're exploring topics and getting ready for college type stuff. So, all right, if there aren't any questions on the syllabus, stop me now or forever hold your peace. Okay. Another thing that you should have done is you should have turned in 3 formatives last week. I was trying to remind you on Google Classroom. It gets a little tricky for me to do that and try to remember to do it at the right time. So I'm just going to put them in as assignments that will pop up on that day so that they show up in your grid and it says do your formative today. Hopefully that will help you. Formative is the way that I'm counting attendance, but you're also getting a grade for your formative. If you want to click on formative over here and go to the site and see that I read your formatives from last week and I left feedback and comments on some of the things that you were saying. It's kind of hard to have a, engaging conversation with your teacher, so that's going to suffice for now. Also, each formative is graded on a 5-point scale. So if it looks to me like you answered the question in depth, you were really thinking about it, I can see your mind at work on the topic, that's 5 points. 4 is a good answer, depth, all that stuff. A 3 is kind of like, so I guess bare minimum. And then a 2 is either didn't answer the question or something like 1 sentence. And then a 1 is like a pity point. If you put something, but it doesn't really impress me at all. And then a 0, you can get a 0 for your formative if you don't do it. And then it's also an attendance issue. So I feel like if you are doing those formatives and spending time thinking about the topics, I'm not giving you fluffy questions. I'm giving you really thought-provoking questions for our subject matter. So they're going to count for a grade. And in addition to attendance, they're going to count for a grade. So the way that I'll be grading them, if you're on formative, you should be able to see your percent that you're accruing through your, the 5 points for each one of your formatives. So what I'll do is when it's time to turn in progress reports, I'm going to drop an assignment in the grade book that says formatives, and it's going to be a minor grade. And I'll go in and I'll just take that percent that's in formative and I'm just going to transfer it to the grade book. Because if you're doing the work of really thinking about your assignment and your work, then it should count in your grades, So the other time it's going to show up in the grade book is right before report cards. So right before the end of the 6 weeks, I'm going to drop another one and go to the formative again, because by then you should have, like 15, 10 more of them. And so I'll look at your percentage, I'll put it in there, and that time it will be a major grade. So it's important. The questions I'm asking you are important for our work. And I'm not going to waste your time with a bunch of, fluffy questions. So I want to make sure that you earn credit for that in the time that you're taking and writing them. So that's how those are going to turn out. if you forget to do your formative, should I even say this out loud? I don't know. I will, because it's rude to say, should I even say this out loud and then not say it? If you forget to do your formative, I can't do anything about attendance. I can't let you do the formative the next day and get credit for the attendance on the previous day. I don't have a time machine. But if it totally slipped your mind and it's, oh, I meant to do that, then just email me and I can open the formative up so that you can at least complete it for the points. I'm probably going to max it out at 4 points. But if you get into a rare situation where, just a lot piled up on you on that day and you didn't get to it, but you want to go in and get the points, then just communicate with me and I'll see if I can go in and give you that opportunity so that it doesn't affect your grades. Does that make sense? Now, don't make that a habit, obviously, but I don't want it to count against you if you had a bad day or, something came up and you couldn't even attend to your schoolwork. There's a lot in the mix these days, so I didn't say that to the other class. I probably should have said that to the other class. Oh, I'm going to be in trouble. Y'all are going to tell them. All right. So make sure that you're up on your formatives. There's only one for this week. Monday, we didn't have one. Today, we have class. And Friday this week is a B day. It's a B week. So this is our really only other A day that we have together. So there's no other formative, just the one for today. So get that done before 11:55. So formatives are important. The other thing that's important that you should have already done is you should have spent some time in some of the videos and articles that I curated for you in this slideshow, because this is going to be the foundation of some decisions that you're making this week for your own research, for your first research project. So hopefully this looks familiar to you. I asked you to go through and watch a couple of videos. They're a little bit long, but they're really interesting perspective on education. Unfortunately, that Ken Robinson passed away last week. I realized that once I posted these, I already had it in the mix, because last year I showed them in class and they were really thought-provoking for class. Yeah, he passed away last week, so it's kind of a loss. He had some really innovative ideas and interesting perspectives. And there's some other links and things like that that I asked you to look at. The whole point was to have you start thinking about how could education be improved? What are some problems in education that we should try to solve? Because that's the goal of your first project. So all this stuff is just designed to get you messing around in there. I'm sure that from the student perspective, you know all kinds of problems, right? But I wanted you to think about issues beyond yourself, maybe including yourself, but also for others, right? So that's why I included these kinds of articles. So it's important that you spent some time working on that, because this week I'm going to direct you to start narrowing down an idea for your research project on the topic of education reform. And that's kind of like the goal for the next week, is to propose a project to me that you want to do. Does that make sense? If you didn't get a chance to do that PowerPoint, I recommend you do that. There's just a lot in there that you can explore and just start to get a feel for different issues. Last year we did the same topic, and one person wrote about trying to figure out school lunches, because everybody's tried to fix school lunches. They're not healthy and kids don't even like them for the most part. So why can't they fix them and make them healthy and things kids want to eat? I don't know. So there's one paper was like that. And then somebody else decided that they were going to write a letter to the superintendent about an issue that they felt was important within our district. So, and be aware, if you do that, I'm going to make you actually send a letter. So somebody else wanted to write to the Secretary of Education and express their opinion on a particular topic, and they sent the letter. So we're not talking about fake situations and fake purposes here. If you think that it's important enough to do for a project for the class, then it's important enough to actually send it to the person who could do something about it, right? All right, so let's go through tasks for this week. I kind of already previewed it, right? So here we have 2 things that are going to be important to do, well, 3 this week, really. The first one is that there's a college planning survey that I want you to do. It's in Google Classroom. I think it already showed up in your assignments. College planning survey. It looks like this. Starting next week, I'm going to set up conferences with you one-on-one so that we can talk about two things. The first thing is your college planning survey. Where are you with your college planning? Do you know what schools you want to go to? Do you know where you are with your testing? Because everybody's in a different place. So I want to be able to help you individually with wherever you are, get to where you want to go. Sometimes students say, well, as long as I get into A&M, I'm good, or UT, or whatever school. And I say that's a little simplistic, because what happens is you can get in on one ACT score, right? Like maybe you can get into A&M with a 25 on your ACT, but that doesn't mean you're going to get into your program. That doesn't mean you're going to be accepted into the architecture program. For that, you need a 30, right? Or maybe you want to go to engineering at Rice, and you know, there's a certain score that's basically the cutoff for Rice to get in, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can be accepted into your program, which is probably competitive. So you could be at the school, but not able to take the classes to be an engineer like you wanted to, because you don't have the scores on your ACT that it takes to get into that program. So I don't want to see that happen. And a lot of you are getting ready to retest or test for the first time on your ACTs. And so we want to make sure that whatever goal you have for yourself, that we can reach it and make a plan. And so I'm here to help you sit down and figure out, okay, what are those scores that you need? What do we do between now and November to get you to get that score that you need? I had a student one time who his goal was to be in the music department at UT. And he got into UT, but then he didn't get into the music school. And he never got into the music school. So in a way, that kind of derails your plans. I think we sit around going, oh, I'm going to be an engineer. Well, not if you don't get into an engineering program. You're not, right? So I know that's sort of depressing, but that's why we're planning now. That's why we're sitting down in September and saying, okay, what do we need to do to get you to that point? So this is a sheet just to kind of start the conversation. And when we have our conference together, we'll be talking about some of these things, about where you are, how I can help you, some things that you think you need to do, and put you on a plan so you can reach your goals. So I need you to fill that out and turn that in. That one is due on Monday next week. All right, so that's the first item that's here. Then the second item is to start thinking about your project that you would like to do for education reform. I've already been talking about that. I made a little guide sheet here, if you want to click on this link. I made a little guide sheet that will take you through where you are right now, kind of doing some general looking around about education reform, to the point where you can write a proposal, which is due next Wednesday. And you're proposing a specific project that you want to do within that topic of education reform. The goal here is to explain a problem in education. I recommend picking something that is important to you, or otherwise, you know, you're not going to be too excited about doing the work on it. And why it's significant, why is that an important problem? And then explore ways that the problem could be improved or solved. And I don't mean that you're coming up with those solutions. You do not need to come up with the solutions. You can go and say, all right, well, who's already doing work in this area? Is there another country where they do this way better than we do? Is there some study that somebody did that could give us some information about how it could best be, the situation could be improved? So your project in the format of your choice is going to be narrowed down by you. And you're also going to have to tell me, how do you want to represent what you learned on your topic? So you'll have options with that, and you'll also tell me when you want it to be due. So that's the second thing we're going to talk about in the conference. The first one is the college survey thing, and the second one is your research project. So I should have both of those things, the survey chart thing and your proposal, by the time we have our meeting, so that we can go through them. This page just walks you through how to get from kind of learning about education reform to the proposal stage. So the first thing to do is to research. You should have made some notes when you were looking through that PowerPoint. Now you have to start asking yourself, okay, well, what are some things people have tried to solve this problem? What are some things people are working on? Where has it worked? What doesn't work? And keep notes on that and start looking for where could we find some solutions, because your project needs to be problem solution oriented. Make sure you're using reliable sources. I put a video here in case you're not sure about how to figure that out. If you were in Dual last year, you know that we've already worked through that, but make sure that you're not on, Uncle Bubba's, Better Kindergarten website. And keep track of your sources, because it's research. So you're going to have to eventually use your sources, even if it's a video, even if it's a vlog, you're still going to need to give your sources. So keep track of those while you're looking through. When you have chosen a problem and can explain why it's significant, and you've researched multiple ways that it could be improved or solved, then you can start working on your proposal. You're not going to get too far with the proposal if you don't know those things. So the proposal itself has a guideline too. When you turn that in on Wednesday, I want it to have certain aspects. So you can click on the guideline there. It's like Inception, document inside a document, inside a document, inside a document. All right, so this is the format for the proposal. It just describes what you're going to put in each section. So abstract is where you summarize what you want to research. Background, objective, what's the goal? Audience is important. I might not be the real audience for your project. I mean, obviously I'm an audience for it because we're talking about it, we're working on it, and I'll be grading it with you. But the audience might really be, like I said, the superintendent or the principal, or the Secretary of Education, or President Trump. I don't know. So audience could be general. It could just be general society, or maybe you're writing a letter to the editor of the newspaper, that kind of thing. Why is it important? Methodology is significant too, because that's going to be kind of your guideline as you're working through the project. Methodology is, okay, so what are the steps that you need to do to make this project a reality? You're going to tell me what those steps are in the proposal, and then that way you've already got like a roadmap to how to get to the end of your project. Product, so what is the project going to look like? There are lots of options. You don't have to do a paper, but you can. I put a whole bunch of them. This is just a link to the Google Classroom where I put them all. And the way I did them is there's just a whole list of them. And there's a tutorial for a lot of them. So if you go, oh, a blog, how would that even work? You can kind of go there and see, how that person did it. Or I put links to help you if you chose to do it that way. So you'll have to tell me, how do you want to do the output of your project? That's going to be up to you. You can also propose something else. I just put like a variety of ideas there for you, and you could choose from there, or you can come up with something else. I mean, maybe there's some other way that would be best. And then what's the time frame? I do need to put a cap on this project, and they need to be finished by October 10th, which is a month. But you can make your own deadline if you want it to be sooner than that. If you can choose that. But on the 10th, we're going to move into our second topic for our second research project. So that next week. So that gives you a month to work on this project. If it's something that you think you can do in the next 2 weeks, and you look at your schedule and you say, oh, well, I can definitely get that done, then do that, and then it's behind you, right? So you're kind of naming your project and all of the details about it. And this paper will help you with the proposal. So the proposal's due on Wednesday next week. And we already went through that. I put that here. There's an example here. If you wanted to look at this one, this is an example from last year. It's on a different topic though. The student was proposing making a garden and sort of documenting the steps that it would take to do a real like sustainable garden in their backyard that they could, you know, use to feed themselves. So you can look at that proposal if you wanted to see how somebody worked through one. So those two documents will be the basis for our conference. And once you do your proposal, I'll let you know, if I see any problems with it, but usually they get approved. Usually people come up with really interesting things that they're interested in doing. So I usually don't have issues with that, but we'll talk about it at your conference. And then pretty much from here until that's due, that's what you're working on. I'm not going to have extra assignments for you every week. Your assignment is to work on the project, if that makes sense. Some of you will have additional things, like maybe you need to study for the ACT because you're going to retest. And in our conference, we decided that you needed to do like 4 hours of ACT practice a week. Use your asynchronous time for this class to do that, or work on your applications. In a couple weeks, we'll start talking about FAFSA. We'll start talking about your college admissions essays. We'll start talking about all those things. So that's going to be the work of this class. I'm not going to give you a bunch of other stuff except the formatives to do assignment wise. So we might not have really long meetings on Mondays because I might prefer to meet with you separately to discuss where you are with your project, or where you are with your studying and what you need to do for your applications. That's why it's called independent study, right? If I was independent study and I give everybody the same assignments every week, how is that independent? Oh, you're on your own, I guess, is the independent part of it. I think that this is a good opportunity to customize the course for you, right? We don't get to do that in a lot of classes, so we have the opportunity here. So I'm here to support you through that process. Any questions on the research part? No?
Did you post this on the Google Classroom?
Yeah, it's right here. The proposal's right here. That one's due on the next Wednesday. And I put the link to it right here also.
Okay, it's because I think my Google Classroom has been glitching a lot because my other teachers will post as well and I won't see any assignments.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
You can try logging out of your Google and logging back in. Sometimes that helps. But yeah, it's also here on the task for the week. It's also right here. So I don't know if it's still glitching, then send me an email and I'll see if technology can look into it. I can do a work order for you and have them check it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, so the last thing to do is this next week, actually before next Friday, is to set up a conference with me so that we can talk about those two things. And I made a schedule already. People have signed up. So if you click on the schedule, you'll be able to see, I basically set it up for those after school times, 2:45 until 4 when I'm available anyway, starting next week. So as long as you have your college planning sheet done and your proposal for your project, then we can have the meeting. So you can email me when you are ready to have your meeting. Email me, look here first to make sure that the time that you want isn't already taken. And just email me and let me know what time slot. I picked like 15, 20-minute time slots. That's probably good enough amount of time. If you need more time to talk about something, we'll just schedule another time after that if we get talking about something and we need to continue. But whenever you want to decide on a time, put it in your calendar, email me, and we'll have a Zoom office hours on that day at that time. But check the schedule first because I don't want you to email me and that time's already taken. So I'm keeping this updated as people email me. You can see some people already wanted to pick their time, so they got in there first. The last thing is to put all of these things into your Google Calendar for this class. So make sure that you stick these due dates in there so that I can see that. Really, the calendar is going to be more helpful when you have your own deadline for your project. when you have, you know, test dates that you have to take for TSI, ACT, whatever it is that you're doing, SAT subject tests, whatever it is that you're working on for testing. So whenever you have something for this class, I want you to put it on the calendar. All right. I went through a lot. Are there any questions? I'm excited to get you started with your planning for after high school. Aren't you excited? Oh, no. Was it when the kids do this, right? My nephew started high school yesterday. I'm not okay with it, but I don't have a choice. I should tell you, yeah, so he does this stuff. I have to learn what that is because he does this, and we have our Snap story, not our Snap stories, our Snap streaks still. I think we're on 220 days with our Snap streak. Yeah, yeah, and my niece too. She's 12. So yeah. Anyway, my nephew was telling me about his first day of school. You might be interested to know how other schools are doing it, right? This is up in Michigan. I'm originally from Detroit, for those of you who weren't in my class last year. But I've been here 28 years now. Anyway, my nephew went to school for the first day, and do you know what their schedule is? He starts his first class at 7:30 in the morning, and he goes to every class every day until 2:30 in the afternoon. Live class, solid. They don't have asynchronous days. Every day, 7:30, he's on there in geometry. Then at like 9, he goes to advanced English. Of course, he's in advanced English, right? And then he just goes through his schedule. The only the thing that they did that I thought was interesting was that they set it up so that the first week there aren't any assignments. It's just get used to the platform, get used to the teachers, you know, kind of orient them to everything. I don't know if that's because he's a freshman or what, but yeah. So imagine being on this thing I like this asynchronous stuff, to be honest with you. How do you all feel about that? Do you like having time to work? Yeah. Yeah, I should put the grid on so I can see more people.
Is that the same
Yeah.
nephew that you used to talk about in class?
Yeah, I only have one nephew.
Oh, okay, so yeah.
yeah, he's starting high school, and so I've been asking him how it is up there, and he's been asking how it is here. They're using Schoology, and we use Google Classroom and Blackboard, and he was asking about that. So yeah, so that's where I get this stuff from, that and TikTok. Don't worry, I'm not going to make any embarrassing TikTok teacher videos. All right, I'm wondering if you have any questions on what you need to do this week. I'm hoping this summarizes it thoroughly for you. Anything you want me to repeat or spend some time going over? We're done a little early today. Well, that's good. It gives you a little break before your next class, right? All right, well, start working on those college planning surveys and those proposals, and email me when you're ready to set up your conference. All right, there is a formative today, so maybe use this time right now to go do that. Yes. All right, I miss you all. I'm looking forward to the conferences so that we can spend some one-on-one time talking about how things are going.
Miss, if we go back to school, are you going to go back to school?
Yeah, we have to go back. As soon as they go back to hybrid, we're required to go on campus
All
and
the
teach from
teachers?
school. Well, except, okay, so there's an issue with the teachers that have health concerns, like Mr. Maldonado and some other teachers that have, you know, health issues. They may stay virtual. But most of us, yeah, we'll be back on campus so that we can meet with the students that are doing hybrid. Yeah. Yeah, and so then instead of from my lovely dining room, I would be hosting you from my classroom, yeah. It's a good question. Anything else y'all are wondering? Okay.
Do you
Well, I'm
know
look.
how to work for like elementary kids?
Do I know about elementary? Yeah, the elementary kids are on pretty much all day, but what they do in our district,
No, I mean like, are they gonna go back and how that's gonna be for them?
yeah, well, when we go to hybrid, you'll have a choice. Every student in the district will have a choice that they're a parent. So you can decide to continue with virtual, and you can decide that by 6 weeks for the rest of the year. So say you want to stay virtual for the whole first semester, you can just choose virtual and continue kind of like you are right now, and then, or play it by ear every 6 weeks, but you have that choice. So if it's true also for little kids, so even in elementary, if they want to go back and do hybrid, then they can. There may be an opportunity, we may go back to kind of more full schedule second semester, but I don't know. That's so far on the horizon that nobody's really talking about like going back to regular school yet, sadly. Hybrid will be as close as we can get to it, either at the end of this month or at the end of October, because you can only get at this time you can only get a 4 week extension from the state of Texas to stay open. So yeah, but you'll have the choice. If you want to stay on hybrid, I mean on virtual, you can. And then we'll have to figure out a way to do both as teachers on the campus. So we'll have to have a way to keep getting you what you need and work with the students that are there. I'm thinking it'll be pretty much the same way. It's just the students who come to school for hybrid, for me, I'll just work with them in person on whatever we have for that week. I'm thinking it's going to go. But we shall see. All right, I guess I will go ahead and sign off for today. It was good to see you all today. I hope things are going all right. I know it's not ideal, but we're going to persist, and I'm here for you. So whatever happens, we're still going to get ready for college. We're still going to take care of all that senior stuff. It's still going to happen, and I'm looking forward to the conferences where I can spend some time talking with each one of you about your plans. Okay? All right, I hope you all have a good afternoon, and I'll see you on Monday. Okay? Bye. Good job today.